welcome to the Deep Dive. This week, we're plunging into the very latest from Black Desert Global Lab.
That's right, the testing ground for all the new stuff.
Exactly. We're looking at the patch that just dropped on July 4th, 2025. Now, we all know official update notes can be, well, a bit dense.
Yeah, a maze sometimes.
So our mission today is simple. Cut through that complexity, pull out the really important bits, and help you, the adventurer, understand what it all means. For the game. For you.
And we're working straight from the official source notes, the updates 17.4,
Yeah.
giving you the quick version.
Right, but remember, and this is important, the source notes stress this too. These updates. They're only on the Global Lab for now.
They could definitely change before hitting the live servers, so keep that in mind.
Okay, let's dig in. First up, the big one. Ogong, the martial artist class.
Yeah, he got a lot of attention this patch.
It's not just a few small changes, is it? Looks more like a significant rework, resculpting his combat, responsiveness. What's the main idea here for Ogong players?
Well, what's really fascinating is how deep they went on his combat flow, his mobility.
How so?
Okay, think about skills like Ogong main weapon, opening Taoist bell, or did you think it was over? Now you can actually turn with your camera much earlier in the animation.
Ah, so less being locked into facing one direction.
Exactly. Less rigid, more control for the player. And they also tackled those, frustrating moments like when Rampage sometimes made you fall weirdly,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
or when you just smash right into a monster after using skills like burn them up or crush them, that collision thing, mostly gone now.
Okay, good.
Makes his movement feel way, way smoother. Oh, and carefree. No more camera rotation effect during that. And feint can be used midair more smoothly now while using carefree.
Fewer accidental monster faceplants mid-combo then.
Oh, Isaac.
Plus, what about skill access, resource management? Any shifts there?
Yeah, a couple of key things. Fireland has a pretty big control change. It's moved from airborne right-click to airborne left-click.
Okay. Bit of muscle memory retraining needed there, maybe.
Maybe, but it might actually feel more natural in the flow. And the cooldown for Fireland slashed quite a bit, from 877 seconds down to 655.
Oh, wow.
Which means it's up more often, obviously. And that changes its skill specialization stage, too, down to 1 from 2. Suggests they want it used more rotationally.
Interesting.
And for Buddha's victory, that's his big Monkey King state, the spirit power drain is lower now, down to 2.5% from 3.4%.
So you can stay in that powerful form longer. That's pretty significant.
Definitely helps sustain the burst.
What about staying alive? Survivability? Any changes to his healing or defenses?
There's a bit of a rebalance, actually. The HP recovery you got from Ogong main weapon opening Taoist bell, that's been tuned down a bit.
Oh, nerf.
Well, yes and no, because to balance it out, Burn Them Down now adds HP recovery when you hit stuff.
Ah, okay. So the healing is still there, just moved.
Exactly. It shifts where the sustain comes from. Kind of encourages you to use Bring Them Down more actively if you need the health. Not just a net nerf, more a redistribution.
Gotcha. Now, besides the big combat stuff, I saw a whole list of, quality of life things and bug fixes just for Ogong. What stood out to you as maybe the most impactful for daily play?
Oh, yeah. Lots of nice little things. Switching stances with tab, faster now, combat to non-combat, always welcome.
Definitely.
They fixed that bug where U-bomb training sometimes just wouldn't activate. Super annoying. And little visual things like clearer facial expressions, fixing him overshooting when stopping after moving left, making sure his weapon looks right on slopes.
Small things, but they add up.
They really do. And for newer players or people re-rolling, the Awakening quest line got some love. No more auto-calling your horse right after. Auto-healing added during the Samjang fight. Better auto-pathing for one of the quests.
That's thoughtful. Makes the intro smoother.
Yeah. Oh, and a big one. A new reward for finishing his awakening, the Canyon Jade Orb.
Oh, nice. What if you already did it?
They thought of that. There's a special challenge, via the Black Spirit for people who already finished it, so you can still grab the orb.
Good. So let's bottom line this. If I main Ogong, or I'm thinking about it, what's the real takeaway here?
The big takeaway. It's a huge push to make Ogong feel way more fluid, more responsive, less clunky. They're directly hitting those pain points players had with his movement, his animation locks. It feels like maybe, just maybe, a shift in design philosophy, more towards, player control over rigid animations.
Interesting point. Could we see this for other classes?
It makes you wonder, right? If this works well for Ogong, maybe older classes could get similar passes, could really change the feel of combat across the board.
Okay, Moving on from Ogong, character changes are one thing, but Black Desert's endgame, it's so often defined by gear, by the economy.
Absolutely. And this patch, it really lays some interesting groundwork for what's coming, gear-wise especially.
What are we talking about?
Well, look, they're clearly anticipating new, powerful gear coming soon. They mentioned the Sovereign subweapon and Adana's defense gear.
Right, the next tier stuff.
And these are set to bring a lot more damage reduction and evasion, like a significant jump. Which means to keep PvP somewhat balanced, they know they also need to boost attack power, AP, and accuracy too. Otherwise, everyone becomes unkillable tanks.
Makes sense. So how are they doing that?
Well, one specific change right now is for the Sovereign Main and Awakening weapons. When you enhance them to PEV, or the future 6 and 7 stages, the displayed AP you gain, it's doubled from +1 to +2 per level.
Okay, small numbers, but potentially significant at the high end.
Exactly. And if you use an Inverted Heart of Garmoth on a Sovereign Main weapon, it now adds +3 AP. And later, when the Edania region comes out, it'll also get +50 accuracy.
Wow, 50 accuracy is huge. That really changes the value of the Inverted Heart on that weapon.
Absolutely massive. And this ties directly into something from the Heidelball, right? The big 2025 AP rework announcement.
Right, the monster AP changes. Still not live on the lab yet, but announced.
Yeah. So the plan is, once you hit 310 displayed AP, every extra point of AP will also give you extra AP against monsters. Originally, they said +5 per point. Now they've adjusted that. It's going to be +8 extra AP against monsters per point of AP above 310.
+8. That's a substantial buff for the very top-end PvE.
It really is. But it creates a potential issue. Nuver subweapons have higher displayed AP, right? So they'd benefit way more from this change.
Ah, okay. So how do they balance that?
They're buffing Blackstar and Kutum subweapons too. Specifically, PEN, the Blackstar and Kutum, are getting a flat +104 extra AP against monsters added.
+104. Okay, that keeps them competitive then.
That seems to be the goal. And the new Sovereign subweapon, which is supposed to combine Nuver and Kutum stats, they'll set its monster AP at a level that makes sense given its high base AP and this new scaling. It's all about pre-balancing.
Sounds incredibly complex, trying to juggle all these stats and future gear.
It's a massive undertaking, yeah. They're trying to get ahead of power creep issues before they happen.
Okay, speaking of high-end gear, what about Garmoth's Heart? That bottleneck item everyone needs. Any changes there?
Big news on Garmoth, actually. Accessibility is way up.
Really?
The submaterial, Garmoth's Bloodstone, that drops from the weekly World Boss Bundle, the Echoing Garmoth Reward Bundle.
Yeah.
The drop rate for the Bloodstone from that bundle increased by 2.3 times.
2.3 times. That's huge.
It's massive. But quick note, this only applies to bundles you get after this update. Old bundles aren't affected.
Right. Okay. Still, a major boost going forward.
Definitely. And there's more. For people who still don't have one, they're adding a time-limited challenge, like the Y Menu Challenge.
For Garmoth Heart?
For an Inverted Heart of Garmoth, actually, once per family. It runs from July 9th to November 26th.
Wow. What are the requirements?
You need a level 61 character, 200 hours cumulative family playtime, and you need to have finished the Magnus main quest line, specifically Magnus, Special Gift Traveler of Moodle Village.
Okay, so reasonably achievable for established players who just had bad RNG. That's fantastic news.
It really lowers the barrier for that crucial upgrade.
Any other sort of daily life improvements? Farming, life skills?
Yep. Farmers get a little something. They're adding Klau's old moonseed pouch.
A seed pouch?
Yeah, it holds up to 50 seed items, helps with inventory clutter. They said it's kind of a temporary thing before they implement proper seed stacking in the main inventory eventually.
Oh, seed stacking would be amazing. But a pouch is a good step. How do you get it?
One-time quest from the Black Spirit. Need farming skilled 1 or higher. Just got to remember to pull the seeds out of the pouch into your inventory to plant them.
Gotcha. Anything else?
One more small life skill thing. You know the energy burn buff from the Black Spirit for life EXP?
Yeah.
The level requirement to get that? Lowered from 50 down to 35.
Well, that's great for newer players focusing on life skills early on.
Exactly. Makes that useful buff accessible much sooner.
So let's connect these dots. Looking at the gear balancing, the Garmoth accessibility, the farming pouch. What's the bigger picture here for how players approach the game?
Well, it really signals a deliberate effort to rebalance the endgame. They're paving the way for new gear, yes, but they're also making sure current top gear stays valuable and making key progression items like Garmoth's Heart significantly easier to get.
So less RNG dependence for crucial steps.
It feels like it. Maybe a move to, let's say, democratize high-end progression a bit, making those previously near-impossible power jumps more attainable for dedicated players, not just the super lucky or super hardcore.
Interesting. Broadening that endgame accessibility.
Yeah, and streamlining things like farming. It suggests a focus on reducing friction, making the long-term investment in the game feel more rewarding and maybe less frustrating.
Right. While those big combat and economy shifts get the headlines, sometimes it's the little things. The quality of life stuff, the bug fixes, they make a huge difference day to day.
Oh, absolutely. Those small annoyances add up. And they did hit quite a few this patch.
Like what? What caught your eye?
Well, for anyone running Aether Axion, they streamlined some loot drops. You know those specific daggers, corrupted Yulun's, Voidlight, Lucretia's.
Uh-huh. From Vaha, Sika, Yoru.
Exactly. Now, they're guaranteed drops directly from the final boss of each dungeon.
Guaranteed. Okay.
So you won't get them from the weekly quest reward chests anymore. Just kill the boss, get the dagger if it's the one you need for the quest or whatever. Much simpler.
Yeah, much more straightforward than hoping for the right chest reward. Nice. What about general UI stuff? Conveniences?
Okay, this one is actually huge, especially if you play multiple characters. You can now use energy from your other characters in the family for stuff like hiring workers or using Patrizio's shop.
Wait, really? You don't have to log over?
Nope. Just lets you pull from the family energy pool directly in the UI.
That is a massive time saver.
Wow, it really is. And a small related tweak, the character you're currently logged in on, their energy now shows up right at the top of that list, so it's easy to find.
Smart.
Okay.
What about the usual list of bug squashing and polishing? Any highlights there?
Yeah, the usual mix. Some text corrections and music quests, fixing quest progression blockers, like one involving Young Lion of Heidel and the Calphian Banquet.
Okay, standard quest fixes.
Improvements to music playback in the album, fixing sound cutouts. For sailors, they fixed that nasty bug where scrolling the barter window while loading cargo could sometimes load the wrong item.
Oof. Yeah, that's a critical fix.
Definitely. Saving visibility settings for back accessories should work properly now. Fix some spots where you could get stuck in the terrain on the Olan's Valley battlefield for Arena of Solaire.
Always good for PvP maps.
Yep. And the usual visual fixes. Ranger ears looking weird with a certain helmet, some wizard outfits appearing strangely. Oh, and a couple more Ogong specifics, fixing an issue with his PEN Black Star weapon growth quest, and that bug where he wouldn't look at the camera sometimes.
You wanted to stay mysterious.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And one for gamepad users. Fixing an issue with a worker hiring UI when changing regions.
Okay, so it really sounds like they dedicated time to just smoothing things out, fixing those little paper cuts that can drive you nuts over time.
Exactly. It's that layer of polish that shows they're paying attention to the daily player experience, not just the big flashy features. #tag outro.
All right, so we've covered a lot today in this deep dive. We had the really comprehensive Ogong overhaul, aiming for that better flow and player control.
Making him feel much more responsive.
Then those big strategic shifts in gear, the AP changes, Garmoth becoming way more accessible,
Yeah.
kind of democratizing the high end a bit.
Yeah, preparing for the future while keeping current gear relevant.
And finally, just that whole slew of quality of life tweaks, the UI improvements, the bug fixes that just make playing the game smoother day to day.
Right. And I think, this raises an important point. All these updates together, they really show a clear commitment to evolving the game.
How so?
Well, keeping both the combat side and the life skill progression side engaging, making sure things stay rewarding, stay relevant as the game gets older. It's about that long-term player satisfaction, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you listeners to chew on. Given how detailed they got here, with Ogong's feel, with the gear math, with these QOL fixes, what other systems, what other maybe overlooked daily frustrations might be next in line for this kind of deep dive treatment from the developers?
Could be anything from inventory management to, I don't know, maybe streamlining older quest lines.
Exactly. Those small things that aren't flashy headline features but affect millions of player hours. And how could those subtle tweaks down the line continue to reshape the meta, the economy, and just the overall feel of your adventure in Black Desert?
Definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Well, that's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.